Hello guys and welcome to our next tutorial, and today we will learn about functions. So what is the basic definition of function? Function is basically a thing that takes inputs and gives the desired output as it's designed to do. So basically what a function does, it takes a few inputs. The amount of inputs can vary upon the person who designed it, and it gives them the outputs to the system or anything, or the person or anything there, to give the desired output as it's designed to do. So you might have learned about functions in math as well, like into function, out function and all that. So basically in C++ we give in some our input to the function, and it gives us an desired output. But there is a thing: a function in C++ can or cannot have an input. It depends upon you. If you want, you can give it some input. If you want, you can just not give it input. If you want, you can just not get an output from it. If you want, you can take multiple outputs from it. It's upon you, and I'll teach you about those later, what those are. So I have a simple code over here, which is a function named add. It takes two variables, int a and int b, and it outputs a plus b. This is function declaration. This is how you declare a function. First we have data type, then we have function name, then we have variables with their data type, and then variable names, whatever you want to, and then we have the statements. And if the function outputs something, then you would have a return statement. Return whatever the statement you want to return, and then the braces, and that's all. So this is how you declare a function. This is the syntax for declaring a function. There is a thing, let me tell you about after I'm done with this. So this is how you declare a function. I have declared a function that adds two integers and then outputs on the console. In the main I have declared two integers, a and b, and then there's a console out. Enter two numbers here. It takes two inputs to numbers, and then you would ask how you can give the value to the function. So for that you have to call the function, and this is how you call. Let me give you the syntax. This is function name, and then the variables separated by the colon if they are multiple or not, and then semicolon. Function name, variables, and then that. This is how you give a variables to a function, how input to the function. This is how you give it. So I have a add function, this over here, which has the input a, that number, and b, that number, and then it will, after it takes the value, it will also give me the answer to it. So let's run it. So as it says over here, enter two numbers here. Let me add 5 and let me add 10. So it took the 5 and 10 and added them, and then gave me the result onto the console. So if you want, you could do int, let me do that, returns a plus b, and then over here we have, it will, let me give it 10, 5, and as you can see, it didn't give me onto the console. You may ask why I did that. Because it returned the value onto the function. The value stored onto the function, but it was not designed to output that value. So to output that value, let me do result of addition of two numbers are, and then this function, and then and L. Let me put an and L over here. There. Okay. So now let's do this. Down to a new line, and as you can see, the result of addition of two numbers is 15. So you would have to use cout value to output the value of the function that it returns, or you could do is a long workaround. Let me do that. Let me cut that. Let me make a variable c. Okay, c is equal to this and then this, and let me output the value c and then here. So what this means is the value of we return from add function would be stored onto the c, and then it will be displayed out over here. This is a good practice to save your variables. If you want to say you can store it in some other variables as well for like later use in the code, this is a better thing to do. And you can even just do like this. Okay, let me do c is equal to c plus 5 6. Let's do 6. Okay, so result after addition with 6, c and L, and then we have, as you can see, let me 10 5, and the result of the addition is 15, and then after the addition of this is 621. So you can later on edit the value of that we returned from the function and then use it as your own as you want to. This is very helpful in later in the master levels of coding, like if you're making high level code and all that. So this is all about what you needed to learn about functions. This is the basic everything, all basic things about the function. And the last thing I wanted to teach that I said before is, if I put my function after this, look what happened over here. Let's run the code and see if our code runs. As you can see, add was did not declared in the scope. So C++ is a language that runs sequentially. Okay, first this will run, then this would run, then this would run, and then it will go on line by line by line, and then this would run at the end. Since this add was not declared in the scope, it was stuck over here. It couldn't go past this, so it stopped right over here, and then it gave us an error that it was not declared on the scope. If you want to declare your functions outside over here, down here after the main function, you could do a thing where you could int add and then integer a, integer b, and then that. And as you can see, our problem went. So let's run it, and then we go 10 5 15, we got our answer, and 21. So what this is, this is a small declaration. I like to call it small declaration. It's better way that it's better that way. So int add, and then small, like just we declared the first line of this. You can just copy paste it over here with a semicolon. This is how you can do a small declaration of it, and then it can be later used in code. So basically how this runs is, as you can see, I press this button, it takes me to this. It calls on to this function, it jumps to this function basically. This is when the code runs, this is run, this is run, and then this is run. This jumps to the function over here, this runs, and then it goes on to the down, and then it recalls that the function is over here that is to be run, then it goes to here. This function says I'm directing on to the pointing on to this function, and then this function runs and we get our answer. So this is how functions work in C++. This is just a small example. Later on we will make some projects on this and we will learn and practice together how functions work. So this is it for today. I hope you learned a lot in this lecture, and I wish to see you in next video.